September 27, 2024, during the United Nations General Assembly in New York, when it was time for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to give his speech. More than half of the diplomats turned their backs on Netanyahu in protest and walked out of the assembly. The message was absolutely clear: Israel's bombing of Gaza and Lebanon. But what's the point of walking out? After that, Israel also started attacking Yemen. If we talk only about Gaza, in the past year alone, more than 42,000 innocent people have been killed, including children and women, and millions have been displaced. That's a separate issue. The United States, the European Union, and the UK have warned Israel several times that this war could take a horrific turn. The world got a glimpse of this on October 1, 2024, when Iran fired 200 ballistic missiles at Israel from 1,800 kilometers away, and as of reports up to October 2nd, Israel has threatened Iran with severe consequences. While the world is determined to stop all this, Israel, like some uncontrollable monster, is continuously fighting on 3 out of its 5 fronts. Surrounded on all sides by Arab countries in the Middle East, where did this tiny Israel get so much power from? What is the reason that, despite repeated warnings from the world's major powers, they have still failed to stop Israel? First, get a sense of the current situation. The Israel-Palestine issue has been ongoing since before either of them even existed as nations. If you want to know the real root of this conflict, you can also watch this detailed video from Gem TV. The link is in the description. For now, the situation is that the Palestinians have been pushed and confined by Israel into a small strip of land called the Gaza Strip. This territory covers only 360 square kilometers, and it's neither easy to get out of nor to enter. On one side is the Mediterranean, on another is Egypt, and on the other 2 sides is Israel. Only essential goods are allowed in, and even that happens only when Israel permits it. That's why the international community considers the Gaza Strip the world's largest open-air prison. Gaza is currently under the control of Hamas, which is a militant wing. Last October, when Hamas fired thousands of rockets at Israel, Israel launched a retaliatory operation that is still ongoing. The biggest sufferers are the local population of Gaza, who are being dragged into this war against their will. More than 42,000 people have been killed, including children. Thousands have been left homeless, and so many have been injured that it's hard to even count. Gaza, which was once a city, now looks like a pile of millions of tons of rubble. Israel claims that all this has been done to eliminate Hamas's militant wing and that they will continue to do so. But it's hard to believe that in Gaza, which had a population of about 500,000 in 2017, 42,000 people, that is 8.5% of the population, could all be part of the militant wing. To escape Israel's attacks, the only option left for Gaza's local population is to leave the Gaza Strip and seek refuge in Lebanon. Yes, the same Lebanon where Israel is currently carrying out airstrikes. But this is not an easy task. First, you have to enter Jordan via the Red Sea from Egypt, then go to Syria, and finally reach Lebanon. In Lebanon, Hezbollah has significant influence and power. It's an Iranian-backed militant group. This group also helps Hamas in Gaza. But who exactly is Hezbollah? In the 1980s, during the civil war in Lebanon, Israel occupied South Lebanon. To counter Israel, an armed group emerged there, which was named Hezbollah. This group pushed Israel out of Lebanon, and since then, it has become a powerful political and militant wing in Lebanon. Experts say that this group is even more powerful than the Lebanese army and that it has the support of Iran. Ever since Hezbollah came into existence, it has remained a threat to Israel, and clashes between them have become a routine occurrence. However, after last year's attacks on Gaza, Hezbollah openly declared its support for the Palestinians. Now, this created a new problem for Israel because while attacking Gaza was relatively easy, now they also had to respond to Hezbollah in Lebanon. For Israel to directly attack Lebanon, they needed a major reason. Experts believe that's when they planned the pager attacks. On the 17th and 18th of September 2024, more than 3,000 of Hezbollah's pagers and radio sets exploded simultaneously. There's a detailed video about this on Gem TV as well. Hezbollah blamed Israel for this and also fired several rockets at Israel. The opportunity they were waiting for had now arrived. Israel started airstrikes on South Lebanon the very next day, forcing thousands of people to leave their homes. In this operation, Hezbollah's commander Hassan Nasrallah was killed. On the other hand, if we look at it, countries around the world have made every effort to end the fighting before the situation in the Middle East gets even worse, and many countries have heavily criticized Israel. Speaking of aid, a lot of assistance has also been announced for Gaza from all over the world. If we talk specifically about the U.S., according to Reuters on September 30th, 2024, America announced $300 million in aid for Palestinians in Gaza. On March 7th, 2024, U.S. President Joe Biden announced the construction of a military port to provide aid in Gaza, and earlier that same year, on February 27th, USAID also announced $53 million in emergency assistance. We come across countless such announcements on various news websites, but while most countries around the world are criticizing Israel, Israel is actually intensifying its attacks even more. So what is the reason that this small Israel, surrounded on all sides by Arab countries, is not coming under anyone's control? This issue has been raised 3 times in the United Nations Security Council over the past year. In the UN Security Council, representatives from different countries participate, and any issue is decided through voting, and then the next country is required to accept that decision. But all 3 times when a ceasefire agreement was reached in the Security Council, the United States used its veto power to reject the decision. Yes, the same United States that had announced millions of dollars in aid for Gaza. In June 2024, the United States itself filed a ceasefire agreement, which was even passed in the Security Council, but later it was also vetoed. On one hand, President Joe Biden says that war is in no one's interest, but on the other hand, it was the United States that used its veto power in the UN. Not only that, but according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, between 2019 and 2023, 69% of all weapons imported by Israel were sourced from the United States. On top of that, the United States gives Israel $3.8 billion in military aid every year. All this information is publicly available. People say that while the U.S. talks about stopping attacks on Gaza, on the other hand, it also supports Israel. That's why, instead of the war decreasing, it's only getting worse, and in the future, it could take on an even more terrifying form in the Middle East. But here, an important question arises. Why is the United States doing this? The answer to this question is connected to religion. According to research from Wheaton College in the U.S., a very large portion of the American population, about 35 to 40%, are people who fully believe in the Bible and follow it. Many of these people believe that the creation of Israel is exactly in line with the Bible. There is an organization in the United States whose purpose is to protect Israel and advocate for Jews. This organization is called CUFI, which stands for Christians United for Israel. This organization has 10 million members worldwide, including some very prominent names in American politics. This group of Christians is also called Zionists. Remember, Christianity is a separate religion, Judaism is another, while Zionism is a political movement that works in favor of Israel. The most important thing is that not every Jew or every Christian is a Zionist. This Zionist group gets its desired decisions made in American politics or government through a separate committee called AIPAC, which stands for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. This is the world's largest and most powerful lobbying committee, which can get any decision it wants passed in the U.S. Congress whenever it wants. All decisions are made in the U.S. Congress, new laws are created, budgets are approved, and even wars are declared. Members of the U.S. Congress make all these decisions through voting. Now, if one big group buys off most of the members of Congress and tells them to vote a certain way on a particular resolution, that's called lobbying. And surprisingly, lobbying is completely legal in America, but there are some conditions. Whoever is lobbying must keep all the details public, and they cannot give any money under the table to any member of Congress. Everything must be out in the open. On AIPAC's website, it's clearly stated that this group lobbies to implement Israeli policies in the American government. Not only that, But among the candidates who ran in the U.S. general elections and had AIPAC support, 98% won their elections. These candidates were also given $40 million. This group not only enforces pro-Israel policies in American politics, but also works to defeat those who are against Israel. Their website states that they have also caused 24 candidates who were against pro-Israel policies to lose. AIPAC's support for Israel is now taking a rather alarming turn. What happened was that, in response to Israel's bombings and human rights violations in Gaza, South Africa filed a case at the International Criminal Court, ICC. This court is part of the United Nations, but it is not under the direct control of the United States. On April 24, 2024, ICC Chief Prosecutor Saad Karim Khan received a threatening letter from 12 U.S. senators, which stated, "We are Rep." It said that the ICC is about to issue arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders. The letter stated that if you do this, we, the U.S., will impose the harshest sanctions against your institution. We will also ban you and your family from visiting the United States. In this letter, it was clearly written, "If you target Israel, we will target you." And at the end of the letter, it was mentioned, "You have been warned." Along with this letter, the names and signatures of those 12 U.S. senators were also attached. The interesting thing is that on AIPAC's website, there is a list of all those senators who are pro-Israel candidates and for whom funding is being raised, and the names of the senators who wrote the threatening letter to the ICC chief prosecutor are also openly listed there. But the story isn't over yet. You all must have heard about bonds, that they're mostly issued by governments to collect money from investors, and in return, those who buy the bonds are given annual profit. The benefit of this is that the government gets money in the form of a loan, and whenever the bonds need to be returned, the government can buy them back. Now, let's get to the real story. According to a story by The Guardian, in August 2023, a representative of Israeli bonds emailed the Ohio State Treasurer in the U.S. and asked if they would purchase $5 million worth of Israeli bonds. Normally, it's not that easy to sell anything to a government institution. There are a lot of complications involved, and you have to get permission from various people. But surprisingly, within just 40 minutes, the Treasurer's office approved the purchase of the Israeli bonds. Later, it was found out that after the war between Hamas and Israel began, various U.S. states and municipalities purchased at least $1.7 billion worth of Israeli bonds. It seems that there are not just one, but many reasons for America to support Israel, the last of which is America's support in the Middle East. As you know, there have been ongoing issues between Iran and the U.S. for several decades. Whether it's the 20-year American occupation in Afghanistan or the war in Iraq, the U.S. needs a loyal partner in the Middle East and South Asia. And who else can fulfill this partnership besides Israel? Although ending the war in the Middle East is not really a big problem. The Arab countries want the Palestinians to be given their own state. But Israel is not willing to accept a two-state solution at any cost. We hope you all